This is a Samsung Galaxy A55 5G, and for 620,000 naira or $420, this is the most premium looking mid-ranger right now. So let me set the scene. In this video, I'd cover all there is to know about the Galaxy A55. I'd compare those features side by side, the Galaxy A54 from last year. And at the end of this video, you should be able to tell if this is great value for money, and also if this is a worthy upgrade from the Galaxy A55 if you wish to upgrade from this device. And so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. Out of the box, you get the SIM ejector, the user manual, USB-C cable, and the smartphone itself. No charger and no other accessory, of course, Samsung. The design here is kinda refreshed, well, kinda, and this looks similar to the Galaxy S24 series this year. Same as the Galaxy A35, which I have here, but with some slight corners cut to get this device to this budget mid-range price point. Now, when you compare the Galaxy A55 to last year's A54, you would notice a couple things changed. You get the flatter sides now with brushed aluminum, more like this device can stand on its own, but as far as the ports and I/O placements, they maintain the same position. Also, there's no headphone jack, just like we had from last year, which has become the norm for Samsung budget devices. Another thing you notice about the Galaxy A55 is that it's slightly bigger than the Galaxy A54 because of the introduction of a slightly bigger display, and the speaker grills here have got a redesign. Now, the camera cutouts, both the front and the back here, are larger looking than what we got from last year, and if you ask me, this might just be the most premium looking smartphone around this price point. They still maintain the glass back, which is glossy, but does a good job at kinda hiding fingerprints and smudges. Now, you also notice that there is a Gorilla Glass Victus this here, also with IP67 on the A55. This is definitely an upgrade. Now, there is something I mentioned about the Galaxy A15 and the A25 earlier this year, which is the shape to the right side of the smartphone. This is what I call the wedge-like elevation for the thumb, to easily rest on the side of the smartphone and also to give you a better grip of this device. This isn't found on the left side of this device, and that's because the volume rocker keys and the power keys are all placed to the right side of the smartphone. This helps these keys come up, and Samsung calls this the key island. This isn't something you see on the S series right now, more like a differentiator between those lineups and the A series lineup this year. That is another differentiator between the Galaxy A55 and the A54 from last year. There are about 4 colors for this smartphone: the ice blue, the navy, the lilac, and the lemon, all which are awesome. Like, they literally have awesome in their names. The color I have here is called the Awesome Lilac. The SIM tray on this smartphone is dual, but the hybrid type, and this means you can only expand the storage here and use one SIM. That means one SIM and a memory card on the smartphone, or use 2 SIMs without a memory expansion on this device. Now, design is great and something one wouldn't complain about here. Samsung has been great with this one, but personally, when compared to the predecessor, the A55, I somehow prefer the A55 size because it feels more compact, and that's because of the slightly curved sides. And yes, I love smaller devices. Now, audio is one aspect I love about this device here. There's support for Dolby Atmos. It sounds louder than the Galaxy A54 from my test, and not just does it sound louder, it's also cleaner sounding at the maximum volume. Audio is an improvement from the already good sounding A54. Also, here's what the microphone on the Galaxy A55 sounds like. Hey guys, this is an audio recording on both the Galaxy A54 and the Galaxy A55. Hey guys, this is an audio recording on both the Galaxy A54 and the Galaxy A55. For biometrics, you get the optical in-display fingerprint scanner, and this isn't the fastest you've seen, especially when compared to the ultrasonic types you get from the S24 Ultra. This is slower, and even slower than the side-mounted fingerprint scanners by a fraction of a second. But does it get the job done? Absolutely. Now, do we really need to talk about displays for Samsung devices? Okay, if you say so. We have a 6.6-inch Super AMOLED display on this one that refreshes at 120 Hz. So from 6.4 on the A54 to 6.6 on the Galaxy A55. But other aspects are about the same. You still retain the HDR10 Plus specification. There's still a full HD Plus resolution, same 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio, and because you have a slightly larger screen on the Galaxy A54 this year with the same resolution, you get a slightly smaller pixel density, 390 against 403 ppi. Now, that difference isn't actually a lot. The display, as always, might be top 3 you've seen for the price point. Quite bright outdoors at about 1000 nits. Nothing really changed, same on the predecessor here. Videos are produced excellently, and you get this good contrast ratio. I mean, these are AMOLED displays, so that's expected. There's a punchy output on this display. Also, touch response on these displays, especially for the Galaxy A55, is quite good. Samsung has always been known to deliver on their displays. Now, is this an improvement from the A54? Not really, except for the slightly bigger panel and also the Gorilla Glass Victus Plus you get from the smartphone against Gorilla Glass 5. If you want to upgrade from the A54 to the A55 strictly for the sake of a display, there isn't much new here. I also feel they could have done better if they introduced LTPO panels, so these panels or displays can refresh from 1 to 120 Hz so as to save battery, but that isn't here. And also, just like the A54, the bezels on the Galaxy A55 are a little too much for me. They didn't touch on reducing the bezels on the smartphone. When it comes to performance, starting with the chipset, it has gone from the Exynos 1380 from this one to the Exynos 1480, which is a new chip on the Galaxy A55. The Exynos 1480 in itself is an upgrade. It has a higher CPU clock speed, a higher GPU rating done by AMD, and you get the smaller size transistor, 4 nanometers against 5 nanometers. These all contribute to a faster and better performing device and also a more efficient chipset. And this means if you think the processing on the A54 from last year was good, this is actually better. This smartphone is the first A-series device to come with 8 gigs of RAM at the base memory configuration. You can get your memory, which is the RAM size, from 8 gigs to 12 gigs on the A55, and the storage starts from 128 gigs up to 256 gigs of internal storage. You either use dual SIMs or a single SIM and a micro SD card for memory expansion. Performance is an improvement on this device. This happens to allow me easily play my mobile titles like PUBG, Call of Duty, Asphalt 9 with no hassles on the smartphone. Also, despite longer extensive gameplays, this would barely heat up, maybe because Samsung introduced a cooling system on the smartphone. If you want to get to see the benchmark scores, here are the benchmark scores for the Galaxy A55, also compared to the Galaxy A54 from last year, just to give you context. You get Android 14 on the Galaxy A55 and One UI 6.1, which is really clean. Now, you know the Galaxy A54 came out of the box with Android 13, but that has been upgraded to Android 14. There's up to 4 years of software OS generations updates and 5 years of security patches on this one, something that's quite difficult to come by when in this price range. So I don't think there's a lot to complain about when it comes to software and updates on the A55. Samsung has a quite good track record and will keep you updated with this device. One UI has also proven to be one of my favorite Android skins, and I also think that's true for a lot of people. Now, you get a 50 megapixel main sensor, 5 megapixel is what you get for the macro lens, and a 12 megapixel for your ultra wide shots, just like last year. You do not get a zoom lens, which would have been a nice addition, especially considering this price point. First thing I did notice are the right amount of contrast and dynamic range are applied on the photos taken with this smartphone. Okay, as with a lot of devices in the mid-range segment, under direct sunlight or good lighting, you get really clear and good photos. I'm kind of surprised that there isn't a lot of sharpening and oversaturation happening with this device, unlike what I expected from Samsung devices. It feels like Samsung has the right amount of optimization for the photos for this price point. And when it comes to the ultra wide shots, yes, they are decent, but you shouldn't expect the main camera level of photos here, as it takes a hit. There are also other features you might want to find out or check out on the cameras, such as the shot suggestion Samsung has included in these devices, which helps in auto-framing capture subjects. When you go over to night photos, the pictures are really impressive too, making this not just a camera for daylight shots. The night photos here, or the night mode, applies magic to these photos, even getting you better shots in low lights that do not totally mess up your photos to look like a blur of light. When it comes to the photos on the A55's front-facing camera, which is a 32 megapixel sensor, these are actually good and really nice, and when compared to the A54, this is an improvement. You get good skin tones, good color rendition, portraits are really good also with good separation from the background. Videos can be recorded using the cameras in 4K for both the front and the rear cameras, and the video quality is quite good for what this is. And yes, I also like this one. Note that there isn't any form of stabilization at this resolution. In low lights though, you can see that the videos struggle to maintain focus, and you can definitely see the grains too. This isn't a low light video camera. Now, this is a front-facing camera video test and comparison between the Galaxy A54 and the Samsung Galaxy A55. They look somewhat similar. They have the same sensors on here. Let me know what you think about the audio and also the videos from the smartphones. I love the color reproduction on the A55, but this is quite similar to what we get on the A54 here. Let me know what you think about the exposure handling. Let me turn to the sun, go back to the sun. Then let me know what you think about this two smartphones in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. For the cameras, I think this is quite nice, and if I really need to make an improvement on this one, maybe a slight zoom lens, stabilization at 4K, and just maybe a slightly better ultra-wide camera. But that's like wanting a flagship device for this price point. Now let's talk about the batteries. The A54 comes with a 5000 mAh battery, which would easily outlast an average day of use. Now that's the same we got from the A54 from last year. For me, I've consistently gotten between 6 to 8 hours screen on time, all thanks to the power efficient chipsets used here. But as you know, you do not get the charger out of the box, and there's only support for 25 watts fast charging, which isn't the fastest we've seen for around this price point. And this smartphone charges from 0 to 100 in about 90 minutes. So nothing really changed about the battery life when compared to the Galaxy A54. The Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G does about 120 watts, yeah. There's also no wireless charging or reverse wireless charging on this smartphone, features you get from a $200 Infinix smartphone, the Infinix Note 40. Or even wireless charging you get from, say, the Google Pixel 7a and the Galaxy S23 FE. Well, do you think I'm overreaching with those asks for the price points at which you get the Galaxy A55? Let me know in the comment section. So before I give you my conclusion for two persons here, let me firstly give you my overall take on the Galaxy A55. For a mid-range smartphone, I think this offers an all-round complete package. Might not be the absolute best at everything, but the Galaxy A55 has a balance of the major things you need on a device. So for those of you who need a new smartphone and want a device that's premium looking and feeling for this price point, and you're a Samsung fan, I think this is a great option for about $430. But if you're not a Samsung fan, there are other options around this price point which might be better value for money. Say you want a better camera smartphone, the Google Pixel 7a is something you might want to consider. Now, if you already own the Galaxy A54 from last year, the design isn't a whole lot changed here. Of course, this is faster, but I think the power and package from the Galaxy A54 is good enough. Display is almost the same. I don't think you should upgrade to this device if you already own the Galaxy A54. You might just want to wait it out till the next generation. But that's not to say this isn't a better device, it's just a slightly better smartphone. With those out of the way, here are the things I think could have been better or done better on this smartphone. I think more power to the chipset would have been greatly appreciated to handle more demanding tasks. Also, slimmer bezels for the display and faster charging would take this smartphone to the next level. Generally, this is a decent take on the best A series there is right now. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and also do check out my review on the Galaxy A35 here. Cuídate.